Hello and welcome to the RoboTalk show. I'm your host Aditya. Basically, the motive of the show is to gather knowledge from the experienced people in the field of robotics. It will be really beneficial to the audience spectrum, ranging from total rookies like me to enthusiasts. So, without wasting any time, let's start the show. Today's guest is someone who envisioned the importance of teaching robotics to kids. Interesting, right? So let's welcome the founder of an edtech startup, Mechatron Robotics, Mr. Siddharth.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Aditya. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Sir, how are you, sir?
I'm good too. So, you told me that you will be asking me some tough questions. So, let's see how it goes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll try my best
Sir,
to answer the questions.
yes, sir. So let's start from when we talked first, sir. It was mid-July. My exams were going on. I suddenly came up with an idea. Let's do a podcast with some people in the industry itself.
Right. Okay.
So I called your customer care executive, and she was so sweet. She gave a number. For 2 hours, I was confused. Like, are you? Am I sure it's a resource person? Who is that? So then I called you.
So, see, I'm very approachable, and I've shared my numbers with the parents, with all my partners. So I always tell even the students. A lot of times the students, they WhatsApp me, they call me in middle of a meeting, and they say that, "Sir, I've done this. Please see this." So I'm very much approachable. That is never a problem. You will find my number at a lot of places. I like to keep in touch with a lot of people because I also need to get feedback from them.
Right, sir. So I prepared some good questions for you, sir.
Okay.
So let's start then.
Yeah.
So, according to you, what do you mean robotics? When someone asks you what is robotics, what's your staple answer?
See, robotics, it's don't think of this as a buzzword. It's a very simple technology. The only thing is there are combinations of different things when you learn robotics. For example, robotics means you have to build a robot. Now, how you are going to make it? In order to make a robot, you need the knowledge of electronics, you need the knowledge of mechanics, you need the knowledge of computer science, that is programming. All when combined together, then you can make different type of robots. For example, if you have to make a drone, you really need to understand what will be the electronics behind it, what will be how much, what type of coding you need to do in it, what will be the design of it. So if you, these are the very three critical things. There are a few other parts as well, like the power, power related things and what microcontroller and all. But in very simple language, if you study these three topics, you will be able to make robots on your own. And just to give you an example of, robots which we see in our day-to-day lives nowadays is, first is the humanoid type of robots, which are now coming up with big scope in service industry, which works as a waiter and to deliver the foods. In COVID time, these type of robots have been very helpful to deliver the food or the medicines to the patients because they are in COVID wards. And drones, we all know the benefits of it. It has proved very beneficial for security reasons. A lot of security personnel, they can keep an eye on what is the mob doing, or when there are some sensitive areas, you can use drones. In medical industry, people are using surgical robots for high precision surgeries. So these are the simple examples, and now Tesla has come up with a driverless car. It's also a type of robot. So one more definition I can give is it is an advanced form of machine. So when you add some brain to a machine, it becomes a robot.
Some robot. That's true. So why do you think people should take robotics as a field of study?
I think there are two aspects to it. First aspect is there is an enormous demand nowadays for robotics engineers, and in almost every field, whether you call manufacturing, defense, healthcare, service industry, packaging industry, delivery, in like supply chain industry, everywhere
Yeah.
robots are now being used, and a lot of researches are going on. So we see huge potential and employment of engineers in this field. Second is definitely when you learn this subject, it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you certain non-technical skills like critical thinking, problem solving. You become creative because you have to solve a problem, and that is why you are creating a robot. So then your approach of thinking and your approach of study also changes. So as a self-development also, it is very helpful. And the second part, as I said, is the market is also growing. So these two things I think are very important if you have to choose this as a field of study.
Yeah, yeah. You said it has a good future ahead. So, how do you think the return of investment will be? The investment of time, effort, everything.
Right. Just to give you an idea about the market size, in 2020, the global market size of robotic industry was something around 27.7 US dollars billion, 27.7 billion US dollars, and now in 2026 it is estimated at something around 74 billion dollars. So with this, you can imagine the type of advancements, the opportunities which are going to come, and that is why I think students who are really keen on pursuing this as a career, they really need to invest their time right now, because robotics is not a very simple field of engineering, because you need to have knowledge of three key things. You need to be good with electronics, mechanics, that is mechatronics, as well as the computer science, the coding part of it. So though it takes time, it's not very difficult, but the thing is you need to prepare well. It is suggested that you start early if you want to really pursue this as a career. So you need to definitely invest your time in this. Also there's this is very evident from a lot of steps which have been taken by engineering colleges, that they have now come up with specialized streams on robotics, on mechatronics, on AI and machine learning, which were not earlier. So earlier we always saw very orthodox engineering streams like only mechanical or electronics. But now we see that there is a need of interdisciplinary knowledge. If you are an engineer, you need to be good with a lot of other things as well, a lot of different subjects as well. And last few years back, we did a workshop in IIT Kharagpur, and we saw that a lot of chemical engineering students, people from leather technologies or chemical or biotechnology, they are coming and learning this robotics, AI and machine learning, because they wanted to develop some kind of robot which can have which can spray a certain amount of pesticides or insecticides on the crops. So it was chemical engineering, but again they need to learn these type of technologies as well. So it is going to be handy. It's really going to be very useful, everyone. The only thing is you should be passionate about learning this technology, and you should not learn this only because of the market is growing. If you have good interest in this, you should definitely think of this as a career seriously.
Okay. So I was going through your website, the Mechatron Robotics website. So it was so good to see a edtech startup like this. So what was the germ of the idea behind Mechatron Robotics?
So for me, actually, what happened, I was very fortunate to work in a robotic industries in my earlier days. So right after I graduated, for 6 to 7 years, I worked in a lot of good robotic industries, and I got a chance to view almost all of the industries in India. So I went to a lot of industrial sectors in north, like Rudrapur, Pantnagar, in Delhi, NCR, in Chennai. So I visited a lot of manufacturing plants, mainly related to automotive sector, and I have seen the application of robots. And I have worked in a few companies where we used to make gantry robots and pick and place type of robots. I have also worked with a few of our system partners like Kuka, Fanu, where we used to have some welding applications or pick and place applications using these type of industrial robots. So then my interest increased because I was really fascinated and I really liked what I was doing. The only thing was I saw that most of the drive systems, the motors, robots, these are all out. None of them were Indian companies. These are all made, outside, either in Germany or in, Taiwan or Japan. But none of them, the critical parts were not made in India. So I always thought that, I should contribute my time in some activities where I can promote these type of technology among the young generation. So I left my job and then I started Mechatron Robotics. I started with a room where I started teaching to students myself, and slowly it started growing. The number of students getting added up, and then we hired trainers. And then I met my friend. His name is Dr. Vikash Sharma. He is a PhD from Hull University in UK. And he was into AI and machine learning. So he had his company called Neurapsys. And I told about my idea about what I am doing. And he was really very happy to see what I was doing. And then we collaborated officially in 2018. And we made this as one single company. So we have two divisions. One division is into AI and machine learning. So we are totally into industrial sector. We take up projects related to software development where there is a need for AI and machine learning. And I take care of this Mechatron Robotics division where we try to give this knowledge to the younger generation.
Right, sir. So how do you think the totally novice student who doesn't have any knowledge about robotics should start? But he's fascinated. He has some interest in robotics.
Right.
So how should he start?
So first thing is, a lot of people I have seen, and if you have some knowledge about robotics, a lot of people start directly with learning coding, microcontrollers, and all these things. So my suggestion would be, please don't start directly with the microcontroller related things like Arduino and Raspberry Pi. Start with the basics. First of all, if you're a kid, if you are from 7, 8-year-old to 10-year-old, start with the assembly of the robots. First of all, learn what is a motor, what are the different types of motor, understand how a basic robot moves, how does a motor gets attached to a wheel, what is a servo motor, for example. So first of all, you should identify and understand the different parts which are there in a robot. Then the next step should be learning about the electronics behind it. So start with very simple circuits, like make a one LED glow, then you will try to make 3 or 4 LEDs glow. Then you try to use a basic sensor like LDR sensor. So it's a very interesting sensor because of that. In daytime or it is like light sensitive. So you can make a light follower or a light avoider or a dark follower type of robot.
Yeah.
So use such type of simple components, get more understanding of electronics. Then you should move towards basics of programming like C language and C++. Don't start with the scripting or languages like Python. So start from the fundamentals of C language. Make simple programs. First of all, glow one LED, learn how to use sensors. And then you will see you will improve on all these aspects. So this is what my suggestion is, that, it is very important that you take few initial steps very carefully, because then you will see that you will be able to do a lot of other things.
True, sir. So how do you think an entrepreneur wants to invest time in this field of study? So how should he start?
So actually, when we started, we also never had this thought of coming up with any partnership or a franchisee-based model. And but now we what we have seen, a lot of people want to start this business. And my suggestion to them would be, first of all, you need to give your time for this, and not only this business, any type of business. You need to give your heart, energy, time for any business that you do. So first thing is, you need to have your commitment towards the time and the work that you are doing. You need to be also passionate about the things that you are doing, about the technology. You need to be passionate about what are the latest trends which are going on in the market, how we can make the education better. So if these type of things are not there within an entrepreneur, I think this is not a kind of business that they should do. So, and the third thing is they need to do a financial planning of what how they are going to run this business. What will be the initial investment, what will be the operating expenses, and all those things. So they need to be good with the finance. And I think this is general for any type of business. You need to be good with the financial aspect as well. And the fourth thing is you need to have initial if for this business to start, there are different models in market, and we also have few models which we have made for people to start. So investment lies between 2 to 6 lakhs rupees depending on which plan they are taking. And I think that is it. If they have the right passion and commitment, and they have a vision of where they want to go, we are they can really fly off in this business, because I think the opportunity is huge, and now parents see a lot of value in this type of business. And that is why a lot of people are coming to us because they want to start this as a business. Our role would be support them with all our experience, support them with the brand, the certification, the course materials, so that it's usually easier in a franchisee-based model that you don't have to do the R&D of building robots, building courses, because it takes a lot of time, and we have invested that amount of time to build all those things.
True, sir. Okay. So the next question is, what is your take on hands-on experience versus online training with respect to teaching robotics? Will the development of VR will be helpful to bridging the gap between online and offline?
Yes. See, definitely robotics, when you're learning robotics, it's a practical subject. It is not just coding, but there is a lot of hardware, aspect to it. So what happens, it is always beneficial, or it is always good, and the excitement is always more when you learn robotics with your hands. It's always offline, because then you can see what are the parts made, and then you also need a 3D printer if you want to redesign something. So you need to basically have a robotic lab if you really want to learn robotics. Right. But nevertheless, in this situation, because of this COVID, we have also seen that a lot of people are not able to access the labs, and they are also not able to access a lot of hardware. So in that case, what they can do is they can learn a lot of things online. For example, when you have to learn electronics, there are a lot of simulated environments or platforms where you can learn about electronics. For example, Tinkercad is a very simple platform for kids which they can use. And similarly, there are a lot of platforms for engineering students as well, where they can design the circuits. So the understanding of circuit making, of electronics, and all those things can be done using these simulated platforms. Similarly, for coding, you actually don't need a hardware, so you can practice the coding part. For 3D designing only, also you need softwares to design all those things. The only thing is, you all will be able to do all these things virtually, but it is always better if you can get all the parts. So if any student wants to get a good hands-on practice, maybe they can order the kits online, get some of the components. So, and that is why what we have done is we have also introduced a hybrid learning. So there are a lot of courses or lectures which are given online, and we have a kit as well, which we deliver to the students. So students can practice with all the components, as well as they take the benefit of online learning. Because in online learning, what happens, you can record the session, you can go through the session. So it has got its own benefits. So I think for this COVID time, this hybrid model works best.
Okay, sir. So how do you think VR can be made more accessible? The VR is a very niche market. Right. It's a very small market. So how do you think it can be made more accessible?
Okay, now have you heard about this Meta? Obviously you have heard, but do you know what it is?
I'm not sure. There was a Facebook company, Oculus, and they have collaborated everything out there.
Yeah. So, see, Oculus is a device. Similarly, there are other devices also. So Oculus
Yeah.
only makes the hardware device, but Facebook, they have come. This metaverse is
Right.
basically a complete virtual world that they have created, and you can go to that world and you can experience. So, for example, I want to sit with Aditya and have a coffee. I can do that in metaverse. So this is the concept which Facebook has brought, and I think the market of VR is now going to change dramatically. Though it was growing, but with Facebook coming up with this metaverse, I think things are going to change because there is a huge application of VR headset in this. Once you wear the headset, you can enter into a total different world. A lot of people with who are disabled, who cannot experience a lot of things in their life, they can get the experience of swimming, trekking, going to different places, all with this VR headset. So we see, and in fact, we also are planning to include VR with robotics, because you can use the VR headsets and you can learn a lot of assemblies and hardware things in robotics. I think it has got huge applications. VR already is being used in a lot of industrial applications. For example, there are huge machines, and for training purpose, in order to understand where there is a need for predictive or a preventive maintenance. So they use headsets and they do all the training activities there. Right. So definitely we see a big potential. The only thing is usually the VR headset, it's quite costly.
It's quite costly.
So I think that is the only barrier that we see.
I had seen Vex Robotics. There was a company. It collaborated with Lego to start a VR, like a VR robotics campaigns kind of thing, and it went well for some time. Then it got disrupted, totally disrupted.
Right, but maybe it got disrupted, but definitely the question you have asked is a very relevant question. I see a big integration of VR with learning physical STEM-based courses like robotics or any other physical courses. I think they have got a huge application, and in coming times we are going to see more of VR, AR related things in our day-to-day lives.
Right. Yes. Right. So you mentioned about robotic labs. Like, how do they work?
So see, robotics lab, it's basically it's not a very again, it's not people understand, like, I don't know what all things will be there. So the only things that the components, all the things which are required to make a robot, those components are there. Just like you have a computer lab, in robotics lab, the first thing that you need to have is the mechanical tools that you will need to make any assembly. So you need to have the drilling machines, you need to have wire cutters, screwdrivers, wrenches, all the mechanical things. Then you need to have all the electronic tools. For example, the multimeters, or maybe any other voltmeter, so all those things are already there in multimeter. But there could be a lot of other electronic tools for measuring the capacity, or measuring any other electronic parameters. Similarly, you need to have different type of batteries, so that depending on the requirement, you can increase the voltage supply or the power supply. Then you need to have a lot of different type of sensors. You need to have ultrasonic sensors, IR sensors. So depending on which type of project you want to build, you can use all those components. Then again, the most important thing, you need to have a 3D printer as well, because you need to give shape to what you are making. And it is very good if you want to make some prototypes. So you need to have a 3D printer there in place. So robotic lab basically consists of all these things in very simple language. And more than that, the environment should be good in a robotic lab. So a lot of people, our team members, they say that, we want to go to a robotic lab, because then you start thinking about new ideas. So it is not only a place where you keep the components, it should also give you a positive feeling, a vibe, where you start coming up with new ideas.
Right. Okay, so I was reading the news. I was reading some blogs too. According to Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, and many prominent people, AI and robotics might lead to the end of mankind. It's a very bold statement to make, but people like Sundar Pichai believe in ethically using AI within limits which might benefit us at the end. So, what's your take on this?
See, as of now, no one can say whether the end of mankind will be because of the robotics or something else. It can be because of the mobile phones also. I think I would look at it from a perspective that any technology has got its pros and cons. If you overuse any technology, it is not going to be useful to you. For example, mobile phones. Now, children are really addicted to mobile phones, and we all know the applications of phones. Like, it's very handy, it's very useful for us. But at the same time, if you don't use it well, if you overuse it, you can get into a lot of health related diseases. Like, people are going into a depression only because they are not getting Facebook likes. so things can happen. Similarly for robotics and AI also, if you know how much to use, how to use, definitely it should be used for the benefit of the mankind, and it should not be overused or for a purpose which can be detrimental for the society. So I think there should be very strict protocols, and we need to understand about the environment, the ecology around us, and considering all those things, everyone needs to be very conscious about any decisions related to this. And I think if it is used in the right way, I don't see any harm of using such technologies.
Right, right. Also, media kicks in very well. Like in many Hollywood and Bollywood movies, they have spoiled the image of robotics so bad. They want people to think that robotics, like there might be a potential robotic uprising in future which will end humankind. Right? Like it spoils the image for robotics. What do you think about it? It should be over for now.
Definitely, if you ask an engineer and he knows what goes behind a robot, then he will never say that. So this can be an area of imagination. A lot of people, can portray these technologies as, harmful things. But if you really know the science behind what goes behind the robots and all those things, and if you think how to use it well, I don't think, it is going to be creating a very bad image in people's mind. Though they are coming up with a lot of things related about the harmful effects of robots and all those things, people also know that maybe this is just a movie, and they also know that in day-to-day lives, these technologies are being used to produce all the components. Whether you are eating bread in the morning or you are going for a drive on a Tesla or auto-driven car, these are the technologies who are going to drive the future. So they are already using it. The only thing is, as I said earlier, you need to carefully balance between the two, how you are going to use it.
True, true, true. So all the Terminator movies, look out. Like I wanted to ask you, what's your message to young people who are interested in robotics?
See, again, if you are a die-hard lover of technology, if you have a disruptive mind, where you want to create something, where you want to solve the problems which are going on in the society, and you have a urge, you don't only run after money and all those things, and you want to give time to learning, because learning robotics itself, it will take a lot of time. There are a lot of things which goes behind it. So if you are passionate about all these things, I think it's a very interesting option which can bind you. At this age as well, we really like what we are doing. So it is really a very good field, only for people who really love, doing or working in this field. And for students, for young generation, as I said earlier also, we have seen a tremendous growth of non-technical skills. Like a lot of students, they lack confidence in speaking up. So what we do is we have come up with a presentation day or a graduation day where students who are technically good, they are also given a platform where they can speak about their projects. So it also helps you in giving presentations. Your smartness increases, your IQ level increases, and definitely your critical thinking and problem solving skills. These are also the non-technical aspects which we have seen which have increased because of learning this thing. So that is my take. If you're not passionate about these things, if you're passionate about your sports or music, you should go for it. Definitely.
Yeah. So, what's your message to parents, like the small children who are fascinated to see robots in daily life and they want to learn something new, but the parents are like more of curriculum based. What's
Right.
coming in the exam? Let's study just that. So, what's your message to them?
Actually, in Indian culture, the pressure of marks, of getting marks in school academics has been very high, and it is obviously because of right reasons as well. I won't blame anyone, because you also need to have very high cutoff for sitting any if you want to sit for any technical exam, like IIT and all those
IDs,
things. You need to get that cutoff. So
right?
that is also a genuine reason why parents usually want their kids to study the theoretical subjects. But at the same time, my message to parents would be that even if they are studying maths or science, students should be motivated in creating their own logic, or make some science projects, or create some models out of what they are learning, because
True,
then
true,
only the learning can be enhanced. If
true.
students, if they see their kids doing a lot of electronic things, they are breaking their toys and all those things, I think they should really give them a chance to learn this subject, because we have a lot of parents telling that we are really worried our students are only doing robotics and they are not learning anything else. We are really worried. Are you sure that he is going to do well after he crosses his class 10 or 12? Is because he is not at all focused
True,
in his
true.
regular subjects. So I think if you give this platform, it's so interesting that 90% students are going to like it. They really love this subject.
Okay. So, what's your message for me at the end of this podcast? What's your message to me?
So for message for you, like you have put very very responsible questions, I would say. So these are very good questions, and I think there is a need to do more awareness about these things. So I wish you all the best, and I hope that you keep doing such type of talks with a lot of people, take their perspectives on different technologies, and not just technologies, but your topics could also be related to arts. It can also be related to science. It can be related to education, or other things as well. So you have started well, and I hope that you bring out more interesting videos for your audience.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you, Aditya. Thanks a lot.